Today's Friday, July 24th, and in this daily check in, I want to go a little bit back to the roots and not go into a specific insight because the last few days I've talked about momentum and the things I've learned and realized recently. I've also talked about drilling as a way of deliberate practice to become better at specific skills in a very intentional manner, and I do still think about this. This is very top of mind for me still, and I want to really improve my skills, and I want to just try to use this practice of drilling to validate, is this actually a way how I can learn skills that are not physical but more mental. So even stuff around content. I talked about how I did drills for like generating content ideas, generating drafts, generating hooks, and I do think that's a powerful practice. But I wanted to do a proper check-in today because that was the original idea of this practice, to give a little snapshot into what I'm working on, what I'm doing, because I do think this will be very interesting going forward in a week from now, in a month from now, in a year or 10 years from now, to see, okay, what kind of stuff was I working on, what kind of problems was I trying to solve. And so essentially there are a few buckets for me. So Railblock's work is my main focus, it's my main priority, and we do have some very big client, very high level clients, and so the amount of learning and the amount of insight and the amount of work that is required to become really good at that is very high. And so that's my focus. To maybe give a brief intro into that, we're building operational systems. We are now building infrastructure, which we are going to roll out for clients. We work a lot with VCs now, so venture capital firms, PE firms. We've worked with startups and startup incubators in the past and still do. And yeah, essentially we are building operational systems now, way more AI focus, kind of using AI tooling to build stuff, or rather building AI tooling. So yeah, I'm not sure what I can share, but for example, we are building kind of like a brain for certain firms, so they have a centralized context and memory storage that they can query, where they can derive important information. For example, for VCs, this makes sense because as a VC, you need to make decisions based on a lot of information about a company and the founders, and there's a lot of context that is amassed over time. And so having a powerful system to store that context, retrieve the context, well, organize it, enrich it, and so on. This is a powerful use case. And so for Railbooks, this is my main focus. This takes up most of my work. And apart from that, I do have a project that might be launching soon, or that I'm already starting to do a little bit of work on, which is for some friends that are also here in Bali, who are running a agency for SEO and web design, and we want to add some new, let's say, products and services to their portfolio, and they want to also have a system for themselves. And so I can now take all of the stuff I've learned from working with Railblocks to start implementing some very simple but still very useful stuff for them, and also work with one of my friends to potentially partner and start working on systems for clients together. And I do want to stay in that realm of building systems, building internal tooling, building pipelines of various sorts. And I do think there's a very big benefit of staying in one lane and really focusing on a skill set, becoming really good at one thing, and then perhaps expanding that. I do really like what Alex Hormozi talks about in terms of stacking skill sets. So he uses the example, which I think is very good. If you learn math, or like, there are many different levels to that, but once you start learning the basics of math, it's quite useful, but not mind-blowing. Then if you start to learn about accounting, you start to become more valuable, once you start to learn about like tax strategies and so on, like you can add and layer more skills, and as you build up additional layers to that, you become increasingly more powerful as an operator, as a business owner, and this will dramatically boost what you can earn, what you can accomplish, what kind of projects you can do. And I want to do the same. So even, for example, for me, one weakness I do have, or one skill set that I haven't developed much yet, is to sell and to market and to basically sales psychology and marketing and so on. And so if I take my knowledge about building systems that I'm starting to become very good at now, if I combine that with learning how to sell and market and how to build a brand and how to do other things, then it adds another multiplier in terms of leverage. And I think that's a very cool pattern. And this is something that you can do with every single path that you're on. Like, it doesn't really matter what kind of goal you're working on, what kind of business you're in, or what kind of industry you're in, or maybe you work as an employee and you want to uplevel your skills. You can just add more stuff, and as you add more stuff, you become more powerful. I think that's a very simple, very obvious mindset, but I do think it's the way to go. And so this is also what I'm doing. And then this personal brand project. So I'm doing the daily check-in daily, and now finally posting it after doing it for like 2 months and never posting it. So this is one thing. And then I want to, in general, also start creating additional content in addition to just yapping to the camera and trying to make some sense. But I don't think this kind of content is the most impactful. But I do think it will be a cool asset to look back on, to have this history and have the memory and maybe derive some insights from that in the future. But I also am recording some content. For example, yesterday I was building something for a client and I realized, okay, this is a cool pattern that probably most people wouldn't do this way. So I wanted to share it. I created a video which I have yet to edit because I need to blur out some information, because I can't just obviously show what I'm building for clients, but you get the idea. So personal brand content, this is another thing. And then I've been, let's say, neglecting a little bit to lift, not neglecting, but I've been doing more Muay Thai training, which I really enjoy at the moment. And I want to make sure that I'm probably lifting 3-4 times a week, doing Muay Thai like at least 3 times a week, probably more, and really train a lot. I do need to eat more. This is one point that keeps coming up. I've been around 80 kg for the last 1.5 years, and I've gotten very lean. I've always been quite lean, but now I'm even more lean, and I would say in very good shape. But I think if I would eat a lot more, I would have more energy. I would be able to train more, and I also think I would build a lot more muscle very quickly, because I've upped my strength a lot, but I've not eaten enough to have the body change. And so I do think there's a lot of stored potential that if I start eating more, I will gain probably a few kg of muscle within the next few months. So that would be exciting to do. And essentially, those are kind of the main focus points. So business, projects, personal brand, and then training. And this already makes up a lot of my time. So I'm very focused always on figuring out a better routine, figuring out what the best schedule is. And I've now settled at a very good one, I would say, which is, I think I've talked about it before in a daily check-in, but to train, wake up around 6:30. Sometimes in the last few days I've woken up a bit earlier, but 6:30 is my alarm. Train at 7 until like 8:15. Then take a shower, drive to the co-working, work until around 2:30, drive to my gym, which is also kind of like a recovery and spa and pool chill place. So around 2:30, drive there, get some sun, take a little break, listen to a podcast, maybe read something, and yeah, take a break for like 45 minutes, an hour, and then continue working until the evening basically, and have some food in between, and sometimes some social life in the evening. But that's my routine right now. I think, yeah, it will be very interesting to see how this evolves and to look back on those videos in like 3 months from now, a year from now, and just see how this evolves. So I'm very happy with that right now, and I will see you tomorrow. Maybe I will have a interesting topic, and because I don't think there is much to update in the next few days in terms of what I'm working on, because it will be quite the same. So maybe there will be some insight that I will have today, or some thought I want to revisit tomorrow. So I will see you there if you don't want to miss it. So far, nobody has watched the videos. So if you're watching the video and you want to subscribe, then you can do that. But I will see you tomorrow.